welcome to the NRI Cricketer. This is the first episode of the podcast. Welcome my guest and my brother, current Dork Entertainment still, but Dork Entertainment partner here, Vinay Joseph, left arm spinner he is, and a right-hand batter. How's it going?
Good. How are you, Mr. NRI cricketer? How are you today?
Yeah, we're starting this podcast and the channel as well. It's going to be across everything: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. But yeah, man, excited to start this channel and talk everything Indian cricket.
Perfect. The hot topic of Indian cricket. We can make a whole channel about it. Definitely. There's a lot to
Man,
talk
yeah.
about.
So just a brief background, like of both of us really. Obviously we grew up in Australia, and we've got ties to India back home. From Punjab is where we hail from. But we've been, I guess, watching cricket. I've been watching cricket for about 25 years now, 25 to 27 ish, and you've been a bit longer than that, right?
Yeah, I don't want to mention exactly how many years because it'll reveal my age, but quite a
Yeah.
long time, definitely. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Cricket is life.
So yeah, and like growing up in Australia, we're in Australia, so we're growing up in Australia. We didn't really connect that much to the Australian team here. I mean, great team it was, but yeah, it wasn't really, I guess, cricketers that we connected with, and
And I
um, you
guess,
know,
I mean, we are lucky in Australia. Cricket is, one of the main sports as well. So we stayed
yeah,
connected to
yeah,
cricket in general that way,
yeah,
playing in, starting from school cricket, working our way up, and then, even club cricket. So
yeah.
it's been pretty good.
Yeah, and like, we've just had this connection with the Indian team. The players during that era, the Tendulkars, the Sehwags, the Dravids, the Laxmans. You're going to hear a lot about them in this channel. They basically formed, our love for Indian cricket. So, yeah, we're happy, very happy to just deep dive and really appreciate what Indian cricket has been, I guess, for us for the past 2.5 decades.
Yeah, definitely. I think, I guess not just because we have a background of Indian cricket, sorry, background of being Indian. I think the actual players that they're the reason why we love the Indian cricket
Yeah,
team because the actual players, the way they go about things, the way they play their cricket on the field and how they behave off the field. That's why we love them. That's why we love
yeah,
Indian
they
cricket.
play with absolute class.
Yeah.
That's why we love them, and then that's why we connected with them. And yeah, so I guess we're going to start this podcast. First topic, we're just going to go jump right into it. We've got the Asia Cup happening.
Yes.
And we've obviously there's been a couple of matches, but India's first match is on Saturday, and that is against Pakistan.
What a cracker over an opener,
A
Paxton.
cracker. And I guess
And it's not in
we'll be
Pakistan.
doing, yeah, a cracker of a match to start the tournament, but like we'll be also covering that in a later video as well on match day. Doing coverage of that. But I guess this one we'll go over just the preview of the Asia Cup, and we'll see. We'll start off with the squads actually, India's squad for the Asia Cup, and we've got, I mean, a lot of players returning as well. So I'll just go through it right now. So we've got Rohit Sharma, obviously the captain, everyone loves. Shubman Gill, Virat Kohli, Shreyas Iyer returning to the squad after
Back surgery.
injury. We've got Sky, we've got Dilek Varma, who's part of it now as well. KL Rahul, Ishan Kishan, Hardik Pandya, the vice captain, Ravindra Jadeja, Shardul Thakur, Akshar Patel, Kuldeep Yadav, Jasprit Bumrah, fresh off his series with
Hold on a
Ireland,
second.
and
You say Jasprit Bumrah?
yeah,
Where did he come
he's
from?
in this. Well, he was playing in Ireland, I guess warming up against Ireland. Mohammad Shami, Mohammad Siraj, and returning also Prasid Krishna. Now, what do you make of the squad, man? Like, is it
Interesting.
obviously? I think it's like pretty much the World Cup squad, right? Like it's what we, you know. Oh, I forgot to say also, Sandru Sampson is the standby player. Shout out Sandru. And yeah, so what do you think of the squad? Like there's a lot of players returning. There's you know, obviously some coming back from injuries. You know, what do you think of it?
Look, it's interesting that you mentioned also just before we start the Mohamed Siraj in the squad because initially I don't think he was actually selected in the squad, um, and there are a couple of people that they've left out in this squad because like the likes of Ashwin and Yuzvinder Chahal not selected here. So
Yeah,
this is the Asia Cup squad, which is most likely, I think, 80% to 90% is going to be the World Cup squad. I
yeah,
think they are testing a few players out here as well, the likes of Sky, Tilak Varma, KL Rahul returning from injury, which apparently he's going to miss
yeah.
2 games anyway, which is pointless because it's a short competition. Um, and yes, they've got Akshar Patel, Kuldeep Yadav in here, which is a spin faction, which I don't think will play too much of a role.
I
But
mean, they
the,
are in Sri Lanka, so yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
the couple of
spin will
matches
play
that
a bit
have
of a
already
role. Yeah.
happened, I think the spin will play definitely a big part, actually. So this could be a chance for Yadav, Kuldeep Yadav, and Akshar Patel to actually stamp a claim in the World Cup squad. So it's quite interesting.
Who do you think? I mean, I've been going on for ages about Kuldeep Yadav being just, you know, misused this past couple of years, not really selected properly, not given a proper run, right? And man, the performer, he just performs every time he gets picked. So I'm just dumbfounded as to why he's not a regular. I mean, I know why. Obviously, there's Ravindra Jadeja and, you know, Shardul Thakur. I mean, not Shardul, Ravindra Jadeja and Akshar Patel, who, you know, they're the left arm spinners there, and they're the all rounders, right? But man, like really, you can't go past Yadav as a wicket taker,
I
right?
think the issue has been the veteran Ashwin has been there for a long time. So Ashwin,
Yeah,
I mean, lately he's been in and out of the squad, but Ashwin comes in, and then you've got Jadeja, then you've got maybe two or three fast bowlers. So I do believe, he is a wicket taking bowler, Kuldeep.
yeah,
But just because Jadeja and Ashwin have blocked those positions for a long time,
yeah.
he hasn't really got a chance. He's been in and out as well, and I believe now he is getting more chances now. So hopefully he
He's got
can
to make
cement
that
his
playing
spot.
11. Like, to me, it's, I mean, you're going with two, I mean, obviously, you're going with two spinners, I reckon, in Sri Lanka and obviously during the World Cup. But to me, it's between Jadeja and Akshar Patel that they're vying for one spot. Kuldeep definitely has the other as the main spinner.
Well, Akshar Patel in India and Asia is cemented his spot pretty much. A
Akshar Patel is like
couple of
a
series
legend
ago against England, if you remember, the Test match against England, Akshar Patel was like bat
on
and ball.
fire.
He was killing it. But interesting that
There's
you mentioned
the
Sri
only
Lanka.
unfortunate. The only unfortunate thing is this is another country, so
I think we should
this
also
is outside
mention
India.
in Sri Lanka, hosted by Pakistan.
Oh yes, yes, that's right. In Sri Lanka, but hosted by Pakistan.
Yes.
Obviously, there was all this drama around the hosting of this tournament. You know, it was meant to be Pakistan that was hosting it,
Look,
and then we all heard about what happened there, and now it's sort of split. But
I I think it's a very balanced squad, to be honest. If you
yeah,
look at we'll just start with the fast bowling quartet. Like we've got Bumrah coming
yeah,
back. You've got Shami, who's a seasoned, player, and then you
yeah,
got Mohammad Siraj, who's been taking wickets. Like there's your three fast bowlers, and then you got
yeah.
Prasid Krishna as well coming back, who
A good
you
backup, by the way,
yeah,
Prasid Krishna.
you could try
He's a cool
Krishna as
guy.
well.
Yeah,
It depends how much I think India want to experiment in this series. I feel like they've experimented a lot, in the previous tours. They want to probably consolidate a team now
yeah, man.
for the
Like,
World Cup.
I mean, later we'll talk about the current state of the Indian team where it's at, but man, I just don't like this experimenting. It's too much. They've experimented way too much. We don't know what our ideal playing 11 is.
Yeah.
Like what?
And the thing
Like
is, they've got
we've
to get into
just
a rhythm as well, right? They've got to, when they're
yeah,
batting, they've got
like
to get into a rhythm of their position, get to
but
know
the
their actual
but the
position.
way that Rohit keeps talking, he just keeps going on about. everyone needs to be, flexible to play in any position, which is great, right? Fine. But like you need some stability there, especially in the middle order. There's problems there.
Can
I
he be
mean, we
flexible and not get selected?
oh, we're starting it right earlier.
We'll get to that.
No, we'll get to that, yeah, after a couple of things. But yeah, I mean, like we just need to like stabilize that middle order because to me, one day matches are built like a good one day team, and is built on a stable middle order.
Yeah.
Right now, it's Kohli's there, right? But I mean, we've got like a
Kohli's a lock, I think,
Sky.
at number three.
Yeah,
You've got to
he's
have
a rocket
Kohli at
number
number
three.
three.
Sky, talented cricketer, Sky, but he hasn't performed in one day cricket. That's the facts of it. And we all want him to. He's got so much talent, so much skill. He's a freak, but it's just he hasn't produced in one day cricket yet, and we're just waiting. Hopefully, they're everyone's hoping he does in time for the World Cup. But
Yeah.
it's just a bit. There is a bit of question marks there, and yeah, like you previously said, KO Rahul. How is he going to factor into this? He's maybe injured, and like yeah, I mean,
That's a
we are
surprise,
missing.
actually.
I've got to say, we are missing a Rishabh Pant there. He would
Yeah.
that presence in the middle order would have helped.
Yeah.
But
I think Ishan Kishan is a good player. Like I feel like he is a good player, but
yeah,
he's
he's
not that
performed.
middle order batsman. He's more of an opener. Um,
Yeah,
Rishabh Pant used to come in like late or towards the middle, towards the end of the
yeah.
batting lineup, and he used to play pretty well. I feel like that middle order, yes, you're right, it is a bit shaky. If you think before Shreyas Iyer actually got injured, he was consolidating his spot at number like 4, 5, 6 around that
And
area.
that's another person we have to talk about. Shreyas Iyer coming back after injury, and to me, it. I mean, it's still a question mark because how will he perform coming back from injury? But um, before he got injured, he was very solid. He was staking a claim. He was like,
Yeah,
"Mate, this is my spot. I want to be number four here."
yeah,
And I think, I mean, from what we saw before of Shreyas, he's very committed. He's very focused, and we just hope that he can score in the Asia Cup. They have to pick him.
yeah. I mean, ideally, like I'd like to ask you a question. Who would you select as the openers? I mean, because we've got Shubman Gill, Rohit Sharma, and Ishan Kishan. Who would you put as
Look,
the openers?
I mean, obviously, it's going to be Rohit and Gill that are opening. That combination, it's worked in the past, but
But Rohit Sharma
that's what.
said flexibility, like he should be flexible as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's not going anywhere but opening, which is like Rohit hasn't been performing as an opener lately, right?
No.
Especially in crunch games. That's got to be said as well. In crunch games, he hasn't been performing as well, and it's shown a lot. Uh, in the past year, really,
Yeah.
or even 2 years actually since he's taken over the captaincy. So yeah, it's going to be Shubman Gill, obviously there with Rohit. It's just they've got to really Rohit's got to stop getting out like before we can.
Yeah. Yeah.
He does that a lot. He really does. Like he gets out LBW a lot,
Yeah.
um, and he's got to get that forward defense, man. He's got to get it. He's got to get it solid. It's just not at the moment.
If you, I don't know if you remember, there was a player by the name of Robin Utapa who
Yes.
also had a similar problem when the bowlers figured out that his front foot was not moving at all. He
Yeah.
would get out LBW and bowl like they'd figured him out. Like you'd have
Yeah.
to just bowl that one delivery outside off or just on off,
Yeah.
and he'd get out. Like he
And
wouldn't be
KO
open.
Rahul has the same problem.
Yeah,
KO Rahul. I mean, like Shane Afridi is going to just run circles around them, right? If
yeah,
you know, if they play the way they do. But yeah, they've got to be careful about that as well, especially in that first game. But
yeah.
yeah, I
Looking a bit
mean, what are
further
the
down. Yep. Sorry,
yeah?
go on. Sorry.
I was gonna say, what are the emissions, the big emissions for you in this?
Um, Look, I think Ashwin is a big omission in this because I feel like
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable with Ashwin like sort of saying that he's confirmed his spot in the World Cup. I feel like the Asia Cup was really an area where they could have tested him. Um,
Wait, is he saying that he has confirmed his
well,
spot?
that's what they're indicating by not picking him. I feel like they're saying that the World Cup squad he's going to be in there because
Well,
he's the
the thing is,
experienced player.
Ashwin was picked for the T20 World Cup, right? Didn't perform. I don't believe he performed that greatly. Has that played a factor in maybe he's dropped? Maybe.
Could be. Maybe they might not even select him, and he'll be like,
Yeah,
"What?"
maybe they've made it clear to him that, like, look, mate, Test cricket's where it's at. We
Yeah,
just don't see you playing one day, or maybe it's a decision he's made privately, hasn't
yeah.
really made it public yet.
Ideally,
But
I would like to see the spin quarter, like Jadeja, obviously. But then you'd
yeah,
have to select between Akshar Patel, Kuldeep Yadav, and Chahal, like one of those three. Um,
yeah, and Charles another sort of, I guess,
he's a
omission
risk. Like
from the squad.
he gets wickets, but then
Yeah,
like he can get smashed as well. Like he's a bit of a risk.
yeah. That's if it's a flat pitch, he's going for a lot, like on a flat pitch, which usually during World Cups there is flat pitches, and we saw the
And
match
who
against
plays well on
Pakistan
flat
Nepal.
pitches? Who plays well on flat pitches? Akshar Patel.
He does. Somehow he does.
Somehow he does it.
But yeah, it's just they've got a lot of questions. To me, like an omission, probably not talked about as a big omission, is Arshdeep Singh. I thought he bowled really well in the T20 World Cup. Um, yeah, I mean, he did get hammered a couple of times, right? There were problems. He was going for like about, doing some one day games. They did try him, right? Like, he was going for like 70 and 80 and 10 overs. But I don't know. He just, like the way he played in the T20 World Cup where he swung the ball,
Mm.
I felt like they should stick with him a bit more than they did.
Yeah, I mean, and we saw a little bit of that combination of Bumrah and Arshdeep in the recent matches against
Hmm.
Ireland T20, and that's been a mouth-watering combination that people have been looking forward to.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
It's
hard because you've got Siraj in there, you've got Shami in there as well. It is a difficult team to crack into in the from a fast bowler's perspective.
But the problem also comes like the attack kind of feels very samey. Shami, Siraj, Bumrah, all right-handers. Even Prasidh Krishna
Mm.
is a right-hander, I believe. So there's four right-hand fast bowlers. Mate, we need a
Yeah,
left arm swinging
need
bowler,
a
mate. Bring it
lefty.
back in
Mm.
to the pads. I mean, Arshdeep did it so well in that match in the T20 World Cup last year against Pakistan, where he just swing the ball back in. And yeah, I feel like we're missing him in this squad. Would have been the perfect time to try him. I mean,
Yeah, there is
I mean,
one.
it is kind of random to bring Prasidh Krishna just out of injury, out of nowhere, really.
Yeah, I mean, this is a packed team, right?
Yeah,
There is one actually. You were talking about omission. There's one glaring omission, in my opinion, which they have ignored for probably about 2 years now. I think
yeah,
Prithvi Shaw. I feel
yeah.
like
Prithvi Shaw.
he was told to go back and score runs. You know, that's the best way you can.
Yeah,
He's had issues, right? Go back, score runs, and you will work your way back into the team. The guy has scored runs. He's got a heap of runs in the Indian domestic circuit. Then
and recently in England
he's
as
gone
well.
over to
He's been in
England
England.
and played in their
Yeah,
domestic circuit and in county and scored a
yeah.
heap of runs at a blistering pace. But he doesn't get a look in. That's yeah,
That's the thing. Like once you get sort of blacklisted by the selectors, they don't want anything to do with you.
yeah,
And unfortunately, yes, Prithvi Shaw recently in England got injured.
he
But
did. Yeah,
I don't know whether that would have made any difference because I still don't think they would have picked
they
him.
probably wouldn't have picked him as well. Yeah,
And he's a talent, man. You've got to really look. He's had his attitude problems. That's what I've heard. But he is, from all intents and purposes, I think trying to turn it
yeah,
around.
and he's got good technique. I believe he's got really
He's
good
got good
technique
technique,
as
yeah,
an opener.
and like he's had a run in the team, in the test team. I just don't think he had a full sort of commitment of a run to him. That they needed to stay committed to him for at least 10 to 12 matches to really test him. But yeah,
Yeah, I feel like he's missed out. Another player I feel like who unfortunately has been unselected, not really missed out, but he's been unselected, is the previous India captain for the one day team, Shikhar Dhawan. Now, I understand, look,
yeah,
I feel like Shikhar Dhawan is a very consistent player. And when the T20 World Cup was happening, all of these star players got into the T20 squad and focused on that, whereas the one day squad was totally different, right? Shikhar Dhawan led
yeah.
that squad. When the T20 World Cup was finished, all of the star players then shifted to the one day squad because the one day World Cup was coming up, and all the players who have been working hard in the one day squad were shafted. Like,
Yeah, it's a bit of a, I don't know. It's just I don't like the way it's been run the last couple of years with like all the experimenting and then. And look, I understand. Like it is impossible for India to be playing everywhere, but maybe not schedule in like three one-day series right next to each other.
yeah,
Like there was a time where we had India, basically India playing in different parts of the world with different squads,
yeah.
and like Shikhar Dhawan was like captain of one, and then there was the regular one. I was just like, I just don't know what like why are we doing this? Like it's just a bit. And like, look, Shikhar Dhawan is is a solid player. He's been playing for a long time, and I think he's a senior player. He's a senior player as well, and I think he
Yeah.
deserves way more respect than just sort of being tossed aside like that. He's been asked to captain. He
Uh,
should be at least considered for the main squad.
yeah, and I think the problem comes in as well. I was talking about Prithvi Shaw as well. All of these players that I've mentioned are actually all openers. So I think that's where the
Yeah,
problem comes in as well. You've
that's
got
the problem.
Ishan
Yeah,
Kishan, you've got Shubman Gill, Rohit Sharma, Prithvi Shaw, and Shikhar Dhawan, all openers. And there's only two
yeah,
positions that are there to open, right? So
yeah. Rohit's got one of them, and
yeah, so pretty
and
much just one.
obviously, Gill, has been on great run of purple patch in his career. So it's just, yeah, it's a bit hard to crack in that top two. But still, I
Yeah,
mean, it would be
I feel
good
like
to
it's a
have
it's a
just
it's a
Shikhar
good
Dhawan in the
squad.
squad.
Yeah, I feel like overall it's a good squad.
Yeah,
And I feel like they are hopefully going to experiment with one or two positions.
yeah,
But hopefully the core of this squad is finalized already, like in the background by Dravid.
yeah,
Hopefully core squad is finalized and they're looking to experiment with one or two positions and give a few players experience, get some run into
yeah.
Boomerang again. Hopefully I feel like they've got Tilak Verma in there. I feel like they should give him a go in one of the matches.
Give him a shot.
Uh, yeah,
It's Asia Cup. I mean, they're going to be playing against Nepal and these type of teams as well. Perfect
yeah,
chance to try out some youngsters there
yeah.
too. So I
And it is
mean,
a
but
fairly
will they?
shortish tournament, right? It
What was
is
that? Sorry.
it is a fairly like shortish tournament. Like it's
Yeah,
12
I think
matches,
next week
I
is a
think.
semi-final, so
Yeah.
it's going to be quick. Because then after this we have, I believe, it is Australia
Yes,
as a one-day series,
three match
three
series.
match one-day series. So I mean, yeah, we've definitely got a lot of preparations for the World Cup going on. But yeah. So, what do you think of our chances here in the Asia Cup? How far do you reckon we can go? Obviously, we're India fans. We think we can win everything, but like, we're gonna be a bit realistic here and see. I mean, Pakistan, they were pretty good the other day against Nepal.
So obviously, like the top two from each group go through. So we should beat Nepal,
Yeah,
right? We should.
yeah.
Who knows? Something might happen, because Nepal played pretty
We
well
should.
against Pakistan in the first half
Yeah,
of
yeah,
their when they were bowling.
yeah,
But India and Pakistan should go through. And then the other group we've got, I think, Sri Lanka and probably Afghanistan, I reckon, might
yeah,
go through. Um,
yeah. And then those
so
those
that's
will
gonna
be your
be it's gonna be pretty
semi-finals.
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
Interestingly, I mean, obviously they probably will change this. India
Yeah.
is in Group A, right? So if India finish first in Group A, it is currently scheduled the first match, A1 versus B2 in Lahore.
No, no, no. So I read this before as well. No, so the way that that's done is their rankings. They've worked out some way about rankings and whether they doesn't matter whether they're first or second. They still always India will always play in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
But yeah, that's
I might just
the
say
India's not
India, you
visiting
finished
anytime soon.
actually
But
A2.
But the interesting thing, right, was Pakistan invited Jay Shah and a couple of, I think it was Rajiv Shukla maybe, to come to Pakistan for the opening match. I think they did go as well. So that is a good sign of possibly some talking between the boards. There's been a lot of
Yeah.
tensions, in the past couple of years. But yeah, I mean, we've got to see how that turns out. But yeah, I mean, India's got a good chance to win this. It's obviously, I believe, going to go down to India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka. With Afghanistan, mate, Afghanistan put up a fight. Like we've seen them recently against the games they've played against Pakistan. They've done really well. So
Yeah.
that's a dark horse as well,
Afghanistan
Afghanistan.
are a lot. Yeah, I'd call them like a firecracker team, like because you
Yeah,
got the firecrackers that would just go off and be magical, and then you'd have some of the firecrackers that just, you know what I mean, like they don't really do anything.
yeah,
So they can really explode, and they can really like fizzle out as well. So
yeah,
yeah, Afghanistan's going to be a surprise packet, definitely.
yeah. All right, so we'll move on, I guess, to some news now, and one of the big news that just broke actually. Viacom has bought the media rights on BCCI, the Viacom 18 that currently have the IPL. They bought it for $720 million.
What? US dollars.
Yeah. Yep,
Is
US
there
dollars.
even that
So,
much money in the world?
oh,
Seven
there's a lot of money, by the way.
seven hundred and twenty million US dollars. That's
Yeah, so
insane.
previously the 2018 to 2023 cycle that went to Disney Star, which was about $944 million for a total of 102 matches, right? So, I mean, it is a little bit down, but there's also the like, less matches, right? Over there, back in the old cycle, it was 102 matches. This one has 88 matches, but still, it is. I guess it is. I would say down per capita, right? 944 to 722. But what do you think of this? Like, it's. I mean, from the article that we see on Quick Info, it's saying that there is, I guess, less interest in bilateral series is the big thing that come out of this. What are your thoughts on that?
Look, to be honest, I was a big fan of the Tri series when they used to have them. We used to have them a
Yeah,
lot here in
yeah,
Australia at the end of the summer. It'd always
yeah,
be a Tri series, and even when they got rid of the Tri series, when India came down, they would demand a Tri series. So
yeah, yeah,
I think that a Tri series offers a lot of, or anything apart from a bilateral series, offers a lot of variety as well for the fans.
yeah,
I think, you have your regular test series between two nations, and then the tri series or even a quad series, I think works really well. It's like a mini, if you have a quad series, it's sort of like a mini World Cup in a way, right? It's like a mini tournament, which is what you
yeah,
want to
yeah.
see. So I think bilateral cricket, they're saying it's financially less valuable now. It'll be interesting. I think it's hard to sort of put into perspective with the last 2 or 3 years, being affected by COVID and everything. It'll be interesting to see the path they go down because they were adamant that Tri Series and everything are finished like a few years ago. Um,
Yeah, I just wonder why Tri Series went down that route because, like, they were awesome when we were watching it. We're talking about the ones in Australia. For some odd reason, the Australian board only did that Tri Series with Pakistan and India once,
yeah,
and that was in '99. So I just can't believe they never did that again, especially after I guess we heard rumors of Cricket Australia wanting to get India and Pakistan to play Test series.
yeah. What happened to
After
that? What
after
happened to
that
that rumor?
massive after that massive I guess reception of to the T20 World Cup game, Cricket Australia. I've heard like Cricket Australia actually inquired about a Test series, but basically we're told it's impossible. It's not going to happen.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean like the viability of it's it's a bit of a weird one, right? Like, it, one day cricket, bilateral series, they're the heart and soul of world cricket, right? I mean, we are getting invaded by all these T20 leagues, right, all over the world. But
Yeah.
I just don't think that's T20 leagues is great, But to me, I just don't like, the pinnacle of cricket are those bilateral series. All the memories, all the memories of a test series, then a one day series. Like it's just it's part of the cricketing world. I just can't believe that they're saying it's less valuable now.
Yeah. And going back to that T20 match with India Pakistan here in Australia, that was sold out at the MCG. The MCG is like
Yeah,
90,000, right? So
yeah,
obviously they saw, potential there, definitely.
yeah.
But imagine a tri series in this day and age, Australia, Pakistan, India in Australia.
Mate, that every match would sell out, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, I don't, they probably have tried. I'm guessing Cricket Australia. I mean, they're definitely going to be trying now. Like after last year, they have to be
I
pursuing it
think,
at least.
yeah, I think it also comes down to, how we talked about the big numbers there with the money. It comes
Yeah,
down to money, like who gets which portion of the money, and you know, there's a lot of money involved in cricket these days. So the
yeah.
cost
And the
to
BCCI
organize the
really,
events,
yeah, the BCCI want a big share of that. That's the thing. But yeah, I mean, how much Cricket Australia is willing to sort of share is anyone's guess. But yeah, I mean, back to the broadcast sort of the deal itself. I mean, it's good. Viacom, they were broadcasting the IPL, I believe, and they're growing as a channel in India.
it'll be interesting how, because I'm not quite sure, but how it would affect like people like, for example, for us in Australia. I mean, we've been getting matches through KO or Fox Sports,
Through
Foxtel.
Fox, yeah,
Um, obviously these companies have deals with other providers in other countries. So Viacom
yeah,
18 deals with Australia. I'm not quite sure yet, but hopefully we get more matches. There was a period where we used to get almost every India match was on KO. It doesn't matter where it is around the world. But I'm finding that recently that's sort of decreased, like the number of matches they
yeah. Less
show.
and less. It's becoming, but I mean, I think it's sort of it's on the back of so when Star got the rights, Disney Star got the rights. I mean, Star has connections with Fox here in Australia, obviously, which helped broker a deal. It might be a bit more difficult, I guess. I mean, with Viacom and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, even like Foxtel's got to see the numbers that they get on the India games that is definitely higher than the regular ones for non-Australian matches, I guess.
100%, yeah. Like it's
Yeah.
going to be interesting how it plays out. With the international, because it is worldwide rights, right? The Viacom 18 have.
I believe it's actually India, right? But it might be
Oh,
world. It might be worldwide. Yeah,
okay.
it's definitely India home games. But yeah, because if I remember correctly, Star has the overseas games for India, so it might just be home. But I mean, good for Viacom. That's good for them. And yeah, congratulations. So next topic, we'll go on to your favorite, Rohit Sharma's captaincy. How has he been in the past couple of years? What's your take on it?
Fail.
It's been a
It's
fail.
been an epic
Okay.
fail. I was hoping that the board or Dravid would take a drastic step and see his history and just not pick him, not pick him,
Oh
even
no.
drop him from the whole squad because of his form, right? The only reason he
Yeah.
is getting selected at the moment is because he is captain. His batting form has been poor for the last 2 years. He does get
Yeah.
one innings, out of 10 maybe where he might score like more than 50 runs, or 100 runs, and he'll consolidate his spot. I just feel like he has not been in form, and you want the best players in the team. You want the best players, best openers to open. You want the best middle order. You want each position that you have. You want the best player in there that's available.
Yeah.
I don't think Rohit Sharma is the best player at the moment. He's got a great history. He was a great batsman, I got to say, but at the moment, I don't think he's the best player to be fitting into that Indian team.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely echo your feelings there as well because I mean, Rohit just he's had a bit of a. I mean, he's come into a really shitty situation, right? With all the things that went down with Kohli and the board, and I think there was a lot of stuff brewing before that as well that possibly could have, you know, created tensions between Rohit and Virat. But
Speaking of that,
we we
speaking of
we've
that,
all heard of the two factions, right? The two sides within the team, which the rumors of that, and that Rohit's got his guys, Virat's got his guys, and famously, I don't think Ashwin is a Virat guy,
but
but
wasn't it if you had a beard and a goatee, you were a Virat guy. If you were clean shaven, you were not a Virat guy.
yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Like, there were these factions, and it wasn't great, but like, look, I'm just gonna say Rohit's leadership hasn't been great. You see him on the field, the way he talks to players, the way he, I guess, tells them off a couple of
Yeah,
times after
I
they're
feel like
like
he's been told
fielding,
that.
bowling.
I feel like he's been told that, and he has sort of settled down a little bit. But
Yeah,
if
a
you
little bit.
remember
Yeah,
initially on, he was like looking at players and going like, like, what are you doing?
yeah. I mean, it's just a far cry from like Kohli and Dhoni, right? Real leaders that have just led India very well. And I was as shocked as you were when that whole shit with Kohli went down a couple of
He
years
got
ago because
Kohli got screwed, man. That's
Kohli got screwed, like majorly got screwed
yeah.
because I don't even know why. Obviously, the faction stuff, I mean, could come into the play. The Ganguly was the BCCI chief at the time, and we're not that great
The
fans of
gang of Gangu.
Ganguly. He just won't stop. But it's just, yeah, I don't know. He's not captaincy material, and that's it's tough to
Prime
say because of the
example,
career he's had.
yeah, the prime example, there was one incident, I don't know if you remember, Bhuvneshwar Kumar. I think he had maybe dropped a catch off his own bowling, possibly.
Yeah,
He was on the ground. The ball was like in front of him, and Rohit Sharma just came and kicked the ball away in
yeah,
frustration, like right in front of him. Like,
yeah. He's not the cool calmness of Dhoni. He's not the ferocious leader that Virat
yeah,
is. He's just comes off as immature.
yeah. And
Rohit. He needs to. I mean, this is the thing, right? He's been. I always thought of him as a transitional captain, but now it's been 2 years of this, and I'm just trying to figure out where this is all heading, because
permanent captaincy.
we need to find, like, to me, I reckon what we need to do, because when Dhoni was, this is actually very similar to when Dhoni was initially chosen as captain, right? At the time, we're coming off Ganguly and then Dravid as our captains, and we were trying to figure out where to go. We just lost the 2007 World Cup. We're a bit lost in terms of like who is the captain, who do we go for? The BCCI selectors, God bless them, had the courage to go with Dhoni. We need that same courage now to back a youngster to be captain, I believe.
100%. Look, if they've moved on from Kohli, like Kohli, in my opinion, has been the best captain and the best current available player who can be captain, because there was the
Yeah,
fire that Kohli brought that no other player can bring into the team.
yeah,
I feel like without whether he's been told or not, but removing that captaincy from him, I think he's been quite let down by the board. And I feel like that
yeah.
fire has gone from Kohli. Like he doesn't bring that fire anymore because he doesn't care anymore because they don't care. If they have
No, no, no. He definitely cares. Coley cares. It's just he is disappointed, I guess. I mean,
disappointed is
but
probably
that's
the
the type
better
of thing.
word. Yeah.
Like the thing is, like that type of thing fires Coley up, right? He's just like, I'm just going to be even better. That's what we saw in the World Cup. He was like, everyone was questioning his form, all this sort of stuff, and he showed like what a legend he is by coming out and just performing
Yeah.
the way he did. That game against Pakistan, I mean, these are Ashwin's words. He was possessed.
Yeah.
So like he was just like in another sort of zone,
Yeah.
and it is unfortunate how that's happened, like his captaincy, how it
Yeah.
ended. But I just think, like, I mean, it might even take us losing the World Cup
Another move.
to get a new captain, which is unfortunate. I don't want to lose the World
No.
Cup, but
In India.
it might take that, because that's going to be an embarrassing thing for Rohit if he loses in India. But it's just like we need to back someone young again,
Question
I
is,
reckon.
if we lose the World Cup, or we don't win it, obviously, What if Rohit scores in the last match that we play? He scores 150.
Like then it's just par for the course. Yeah, a big score in a useless game. That's the thing, right? Like
Look, I agree
he's
with
just
you. I agree with you that they need to take a punt on a younger player, and I feel like there
yeah,
is one player in the team who, you know, in my opinion, looks like a leader and probably feels you get that feeling that he might be a leader, and it's not Hardik Pandya. Um,
no,
I feel like Shubman Gill should be really given a chance as in captaincy because
yeah. I mean, everyone is sort of saying that Shubman Gill. I actually got a different choice. For me, and this is like far left field. I believe it's Rishabh Pant. I think he is the guy when he comes back from injury. He's the way he plays the game, the way he that ferocious sort of never give up. Just he always sort of taking it to the opposition. That's the type of India we need. That's the type of India we want.
yeah, you would never
It's
forget that
just
fourth
it's
Test
lacking.
match in Brisbane against Australia.
Yeah, and there's numerous occasions like he's the way he's basically in situations where we shouldn't have any business winning a match. He's gone and said, "No, I'm going to win it for you,"
Yeah,
and like he's just done so well. And I think, look, he's going to come back from injury. I'm hearing next year January is what he's targeting, and hope him recovers pretty well. But I think they've got to go with someone new, man.
yeah,
Rohit is
that'll be
definitely a
interesting.
transitional captain. He's not someone I believe they can go with long term anymore.
Yeah,
And it's just, they've got to do that soon, I believe.
yep. Unless Rohit Sharma wins us the World Cup, right, and he turns around his own personal form, scores 100 in every single game and 200 in the final, then you'd think, okay, maybe, he's sort of picked up his form now and he deserves to be captain. Anything other than that, the last
Well,
two
that's the thing.
years have been a fail.
We haven't seen anything. Yeah, we haven't seen anything in the past 2 years. That's the problem, right?
The
And
reason
yeah,
we look at the reason why Virat Kohli was removed and Rohit Sharma put in his place, not because Virat Kohli wasn't playing that well. He had his up and down games, but because he wasn't winning the tournaments. That's
yeah, that's right.
that's the
I
main
mean,
reason he wasn't winning the tournaments. That's why he was
yeah,
replaced by
well,
Rohit Sharma.
and like to me, this goes just back down to the middle order, right? The stability of a middle order. It's just not been there in the past 2 years. And yes, it could be the over experimenting. It could be, we've had some talent that we've just believed in that just haven't produced the form like a Sky. Like we really want him to perform, but he's just not doing that at that level in ODI cricket. It's just we're sort of searching for a middle order that's not solidified yet, and
Yep,
it's shown in crunch games we have not performed in
yep,
those. The last year against the semi final against England, we got walloped, and then there was that match in the World Cup, the previous World Cup against New Zealand, which we didn't start well. Jadeja brought it back, but still, we didn't do well.
yep.
It's
So
again like
really,
it's,
like,
but the problem is that we perform really well in the tournament. We do
yeah,
really well, but when it comes to a final, a semi-final, we just don't like go over the line. And it's been like that for a long time now, and
yeah,
we're just searching. To me, it just comes back to leadership. Like
yeah,
we need someone that like a Pant to really say we are gonna win this and
yeah,
just be 100% going for that. But yeah, it's kind of a sticky situation at the moment with that. But
yeah. So just
we'll move on.
wrapping that up because I get a headache talking about Rohit Sharma. Just wrap that up. I feel
Yeah,
like
wrap that up.
he needs to win the World Cup. He needs to show his, well, I mean, winning the World Cup will be part of, being a good captain and being able to perform himself. Like he needs to do those things. Like if he just
Well,
performs, which is good, it's not that great for his captaincy because he needs to be a good captain as well. And he hasn't shown that,
to,
I don't believe.
to me, he needs to perform in a crunch game where India's down like 4 for 20, chasing 300, right? And he shows courage. That's what we want from Rohit. He just hasn't shown it.
Yeah.
He just hasn't shown anything like that in the past couple of years. And you know,
Yeah. Fortunately,
wish him
he's
the
been
best,
part of
but
that
like
4
it's
for
just he just
20.
hasn't. Yeah, he's been part of it,
Yeah.
and yeah,
He's been
we're
one of the
just looking for
4.
more from Rohit.
Yeah.
And like we love his batting, we're just looking for more from Rohit. He just needs to perform. So we'll move on.
Yeah.
We'll go to the next topic. So we just this is part of an ongoing sort of section we're going to have in this podcast called Classic Corner, and we're going to go look back at some of India's great matches, over the years. And the one I chose this for this episode is India vs Pakistan 2003 World Cup. It was a round robin stage, and mate, do you remember this match?
2003, was this in South Africa?
Yes, the World Cup in South Africa. Um,
Yes.
the theme song went something like "Iga ba bi bum boo," something
Ah,
like
yes.
that.
I remember now. Shoaib Akhtar
uh,
versus Sachin Tendulkar. I remember this
yeah,
now.
we'll bring up the scorecard. So we'll look at Pakistan. Obviously they batted first, and Said Anwar with a really good 100. He
Classic
was
Said Anwar 100, like he always used to get 100.
yeah,
Said Anwar's been a great
and
player
he
for
was
Pakistan.
great player for Pakistan, Said Anwar, and he actually was getting cramps during this 100 as well. So it was a tough 100 for him. And we had look at the players here for this Pakistan here: Said Anwar, Tawfiq Umar, Abdul Razak, Inzamam ul Haq, Muhammad Yusuf, formerly Yusuf Yohana, Yunus Khan, Shade Afridi, Rashid Latif, Wazim Akram, Waqar Yunus, and Shoaib Akhtar. What a team that was there
That
for
is a
Pakistan!
crazy
But
team.
a cracker team. But then look at our team back then: Sachin Tendulkar, Virender Sehwag, Saurav Ganguly, Mohammad Kaif, Rahul Dravid, Yuvraj Singh, and we've got Dinesh Mongia, Kumble, Zahir Khan, Javagal Srinath, and a very young Ashish Nehra.
Right. It's just class. It's just all over in both teams, class.
Yeah. So Pakistan batted first, and that they made 273 on the back of that great 100 from Said Anwar, and we saw I mean, Ashish Nehra get hammered here. He got 2 wickets, but he got hammered for 74 runs. Javagal Srinath got a wicket, and Zahir Khan actually there too. The young Zahir Khan two for 46, and I mean they bowled okay 274. Back in the day, 273 was a great total, right? Back it was a pretty good total
Yeah.
in 2003. But then what I vividly remember from this match is us up late at must have been 1 a.m. watching the India innings and losing our collective shit.
Yeah. The first 10
Those first
overs.
five, the first 5 overs, even the
Yes.
first 5 overs, and we saw Virat talk about this recently about that uppercut six that Tendulkar did to Shoaib Akhtar. He still remembers, and I still remember that too. That the energy of the crowd, everything, but the way Tendulkar just smacked it over, all the way,
It made it
and
look so
it just
easy.
yeah. And
Like,
Ravi Shastri would go on and say you normally see sixes in that area. It's just near third man. Like you don't see sixes around that area, but it's just the way he hit it, and it just went. And Sehwag as well, just hitting the ball, and that's it. So Tendulkar hit that first six, and then Sehwag was like, "Oh, I can one up you." And next over against Waqar Yunus, just smacked it in the same area.
yeah.
And that one looked like it had even more airtime. But it's just these type of matches, they bring out the best in the great players, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, we're seeing just greatness all over the place there. There was Wazim Akram going against Tendulkar, Waqar Yunus going against, Sehwag, who hasn't played against the Pakistan team. He was new to these players. I don't think he versed Shoaib Akhtar before. I don't think he's ever seen Shoaib Akhtar before in a match. So that was fascinating as well. But the way, I guess, Tendulkar played throughout this match really showed what a champion he is,
Yeah.
getting
Unfortunate just
98.
to fall short 2 runs of a
Yeah.
century there, but that was a really
Yeah.
brilliant 98 of 75. Um, I believe him, Sachin and Sehwag really set up the chase. Like that was, they were scoring at such a brisk pace. Even we were
Yeah,
surprised back in there. We're like, how quickly are they scoring? Like they're smashing,
yeah.
the ball all around the park. Um,
You guys got to realize, like, it's back in the day, going at 10 and over, it was special. It wasn't like every day, every match you see here, like these days, it's just okay, 10 and over is a good start. Back then, it was amazing,
yeah,
right? To be going at 10 and over and smashing it the way they did. But the way Tendulkar would flick the next ball after hitting the six, for that leg glance, for four, just showed his class, really, who he
yeah,
is, and. Yeah, he played so well during that match and during that whole World Cup as well. He was amazing during that whole time. It was kind of a renaissance for him, right? He was going through a little bit of a bad patch before. There were questions raised about Tendulkar going into the World Cup, but man, he delivered.
yeah. And then, of course, there was Waka Yunis with his swinging ball, 2 wickets in 2 balls, had everyone in India on the edge of their seat. I think it was
Yeah.
Verinder Sehwag he got out first, and then
Yes,
LBW.
he got Sehwag out caught in the covers, and then he
Yes,
got Mr.
Ganguly.
Non-Reliable Ganguly. Man, I don't know. We
LBW.
weren't great fans of Ganguly the way he played. I mean, yes, Ganguly's played some great innings before, but there was a period of time when he's just getting out the same way, and one of those ways was LBW,
Yes.
and the other was getting caught at in the slips. But like, yeah, I mean, we suffered. It was just drama, right? Like we smacked him for 50 in the first five, and then all of a sudden 2 wickets. Like that's what you get in an India pack match, and we're hoping for that on the Saturday, with the Asia Cup. But it was a match that really we hadn't played in a long time, so it was very special. It's similar to what it is nowadays, right? Where we just don't play Pakistan
Yep.
that much. And anytime we do, it's just a really special occasion. And yeah, that was one of those times. It was, we hadn't played each other. It must have been 5 years, I believe, at that point. And that was the first time, and all the legends in that game that played, and it was memorable. We stayed up watching it here in Australia, and it was one of the World Cups I really enjoyed. I can't wait for the World Cup to come back to South Africa. Actually, it's been a long time.
You just want to hear those drums again, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and that theme song, man, what a
Yes.
theme song!
You
That
just
was
remixed it.
iconic.
Remix that thing.
um, yeah, remix the theme, and you got a good one there. But yeah,
Interestingly,
that was
if you look
incredible.
at the squad as well, Smith, they didn't have a specialist keeper, so Rahul Dravid was keeping.
Yes, back in the day, Dravid, they went with that gamble of Dravid keeping. It wasn't the
Yeah,
greatest Dravid. He was okay, serviceable, but like he was missing a lot of chances,
yeah,
and which is what birthed, I believe, Dhoni coming into the team later
yeah.
on
They
during
did.
that period.
They went through a specialist keeper phase after that. So
Yeah, yeah,
classic game. That was the
and
classic game.
classic game, and like one that I'll just always remember. It's the 20-year anniversary of that coming up, but it was just very a classic game, one that I'll remember. A great performance by Tendulkar, and yeah, it's awesome. So we'll move on to the next topic and the final topic actually here. The current state of the Indian team. So what are you thinking, Sonny? Where do you think we're at currently with India?
Look, I think uh, we are ranked number one, I believe, in ODIs. Is that correct? I
I
think
think Pakistan might have just
Pakistan are
overtook
number one.
it recently.
I believe we
Yeah,
are currently, I reckon we're about a number two or a number three.
yeah,
I don't think we have the stability at the moment with the squad that we have. I feel like if you look at a squad, you'd want them ideally to have been playing at least a year in that same position, winning games, leading up to a World Cup. I feel like. I
yeah,
don't. I just don't see that with this current Indian team. I feel like there is a lot of exciting talent. There is your stalwarts in there, and you have your fresh young faces. And I feel like whoever they select eventually for the World Cup, I feel like they will have a good strong chance and a good strong squad to win this World Cup because yes, it is in India, and India play, of course, well, better in India as well, right? These days, India play well
Yeah.
all over the world, but in India, I feel like they have a better chance, especially with Akshar Patel.
Yeah, living legend Axel Patel. So yeah, I mean, we've sort of touched upon it during the episode, but yeah, we're just not stable. We're just not in a stable position. We've experimented way too much. I believe we should have been looking to stabilize our team 6 months out. We're now a month out, and there's a lot of questions around the middle order. Still some experimenting going on. I think it's it's just sort of indicative overall of how I guess even BCCI is treating this World Cup. It's
I feel like the
tickets
preparation
being
should, you're right, should have started 6 months ago. But if you look at it, we had the
yeah,
IPL, and straight away after that, we had the WTC final. Um,
yeah,
and it's been test matches. And then, really, after that, the West Indies series, which just recently finished, has been
yeah,
like the only sort of preparation. So, this should have really started back in a year back, I reckon, after the T20 World Cup.
yeah.
They really should have pushed on with one day match preparation after that, but they haven't. So you're right. I don't think there is stability yet. I feel like there is exciting talent, but I feel like we will go pretty far
Yeah,
in this World
there's
Cup.
exciting talent amongst the squad. It's just how to put this all together into a winning team. That's sort of, it's sort of lacking there. And I mean, I guess does this fall on the selectors, Vinay? I don't know why the selectors have, or is it something that Dravid has done? That's the questions I want to sort of get answered. Is that like, is
You
Dravid,
know,
is this Dravid's doing or,
it's interesting you talk about Drava there because there was a long time where you could not get into the Indian team. It was the same players who would be locked into
yeah,
the Indian team, and we were actually crying out for someone to give the young guys a chance, right?
yeah,
I feel like now they are giving the younger players more of a chance, but it's just the timing, I believe. Like preparation should have been
yeah,
done a long time ago. It's great that I think Dravid has been a big player in giving the younger players a chance because he was captaining the under 19 World Cup squad before as well.
yeah. He's big on that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so he's
He's big on
seen,
the development of those players.
yeah.
Yeah, obviously going through the NCA as well. Yeah, he's really developed these players that have come up from, the NCA to under 19 to the national team. But like, it's just, I feel like there's other forces possibly against him. A
Mm,
lot of egos involved as well,
yeah.
which hasn't, allowed him to have a stable team 12 months out from a World Cup. And now we're 1 month out.
Rohit Sharma.
Like it's it's just we've needed to really just take this a bit more seriously. I'd like, and I say it's overall like BCCI's attitude. Like, what is going on with the tickets? Like that is abysmal. To be like not selling your tickets a year out, like every other World Cup, we're getting these sold a month out. How are people meant to make plans? The games the schedule keeps changing. Like, what is going on with the BCCI here?
To be honest, this is a tournament being held in India. Don't expect any less. I remember I've been to an IPL match in India. IPL has been going
Yeah,
for a few years. It was insane, like crazy how you had to actually get tickets. You'd order them. You'd have to go to a certain location, like a building outside. There were people sitting in there, and you collect. It's not even like a proper ticketing booth. You collect your ticket from
yeah.
them. It's just like, what is this like? You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm guessing that's just unfortunately how they're running things in India, like with the ticketing
But
system.
like at the end of the day, this is a World Cup, right? Like this is like people from overseas coming in to watch their team. Like how's that being sorted out? Like it's a bit odd. Like it's just especially with how
I'm
great
guessing,
like Australia's been running World Cups, right? The
yeah.
2022 one, 2015 one, really well run World Cups. And I'm just India's the richest board in amongst all of them, the richest cricketing nation in the world, and we're just lagging behind in terms of running this
Yeah,
properly.
I'm guessing they're probably freaking out about people sneaking in or pirating tickets, um,
Yeah,
because in India the seeding isn't the same as it is, I guess, overseas, right?
Yeah.
The seating can be anywhere, and it can be like you've got the normal seating, then you've got just general seating. People will sneak
Yeah.
in, right? Or people will pirate the tickets and try to get in. That system is not in place, I don't think, properly in India. Like there are systems in place, but I just feel like they're going to great lengths to try to stop it. Obviously, this is causing a lot of these issues with the ticketing now, and it's
Yeah.
it's not ideal for a World Cup of an international event. And I don't think,
Yeah.
yeah, it's done properly. So
Yeah. Yeah, on that note, we'll end the conversation there. And it's been great, Vinay, chatting to you in this first episode of the NRI Cricketer. Yeah, so we'll definitely be doing the podcast on a very regular basis, but we also will be there on the Saturday doing a match day analysis of India Pakistan, a good preview of what's to come. So catch us then, and we'll see you then. See ya.